Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm out flying my Millennium Master, but I've got something special in store. I've got the Crossfire to PWM converter from Matek on board, and I also installed a satellite. So there's a look at the satellite, and what that does is on the radio now, I've got visibility not only to the battery voltage, which is right there, but I also have ground speed and ground speed max. So there's my ground speed on the top row, ground speed max right there on the second one. I'm not sure if the sun's gonna let you see this or not, but hopefully, and if it doesn't, I'll put a shot in production and post so you can see it. It also measures my altitude, my number of satellites, and of course the Crossfire information about link quality, transmission power, and of course the battery voltage, which I already mentioned. So I'm going to go around and fly it, and the idea is to trap how fast the plane flies. And I also set up a little bit of logic in my radio so that if I exceed 35 miles an hour, and that's logical switch number 5 right there. So if I exceed 30 miles an hour, I'm going to get an audible alert saying what the value of the speed is. So I thought it'd be just kind of cool to mess around with it, just to tinker and do proof of concept kind of stuff. And let's go fly. Let's go see how it works. As you can see, the wind is not too bad. It's been worse so far today. There's a look at the flag. It's not too bad. It's not a hard wind right now, but it has been worse. I can tell you that. Since I've been here, it's been worse than this. But the good news is the Millennium Master and I go way back. So this is definitely my pickup truck airplane. So hopefully I won't have too many issues flying this one. All right, so there's a look at the screen, the way it sits. 4.8 miles an hour max so far. Altitude is about 147 feet, and that's measured above sea level. So that seems a little off to me. And yeah, it shouldn't be that high. Current altitude 98 feet. That also seems a little off to me. And then I do have 13 satellites. My battery voltage is 12.43. By the way, I got to give credit to Zeke. He showed me how to solve the voltage bouncing by turning off RX voltage in the setup for the receiver of all things, and by turning that off, my RX battery voltage stabilized. All right, enough chit chat, let's fly. Let's see how this does. I'm going to keep an eye. I can't show you guys while I'm flying, but I'm going to try and keep an eye on the speeds, and I'll turn the volume up so hopefully the radio will call out whenever I go over 30 miles an hour.
Miles per hour.
31.5. I'm going to punch it on a fresh battery downwind. Let's see what it does. We'll see what the max is. That should probably be the max. I'll try and get a look at it.
0.9 miles per hour. 37.9 miles per hour.
It maxed out at 38.9 is the max.
30.7 miles per hour. 30.4 miles per hour.
That's pretty cool. Now the logic, I only set it up to trigger once it hit a threshold, so I'll have to work on that where it doesn't repeat, or I set a sticky
6 minutes.
Set a sticky and have it just, you know, call out at certain intervals. But I'm going to try another high-speed pass going down.
33.4 miles per hour.
Going downwind. That's cool, man. I like that.
34.1 miles per hour.
34. All right, let's climb and check some altitude and see what it does on altitude. And that Millennium Master just goes up. Neat. All right, well, we'll see when I get on the ground.
33.9 miles per hour.
That's a disturbing orientation because it's so high up there. You want to kind of recapture the orientation on the plane on the way down. That really went up there. All right, that was cool. I kind of want to get it on the ground and see what it says. I'm curious.
35.3 miles per hour. 5 minutes.
Man, I love that Millennium Master. That's my buddy. That is my buddy. That is my favorite all-time airplane. Love that thing. Really wish they didn't stop making it.
36.1 miles per hour. 35.9 miles per hour. 33.3 miles per hour.
I'm gonna need to put that on a switch. So I'm gonna turn the volume off now because I don't want to hear.
32 miles per hour.
I don't want to hear. Oops, I guess I don't have that on the volume knob.
33.5 miles per hour.
I'm gonna need to put that audio on a switch because I don't want it to keep talking. Sometimes I might want it just to be quiet. There we go. On the ground. All right, let's see what happened. I want to see the numbers here. All right, looks like my top speed was 40. My altitude, it says 649. I don't think so. I don't think it was that high. I think that altitude's off a little bit. And my battery voltage still 11.9, still got 11 satellites, and I'm still at a transmit power of 25. I'm gonna check the TBS Crossfire and see what it says in terms of the battery power. Let's see what it says. Max power is only 25 milliwatts, so I need to bump that up. So we'll set it to 500. And then I didn't do a max T power. I could do that as well just to see right there. I could do a max T power. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. I'm just curious. I'm gonna do max T power on that where I have T quality because I'm not looking at that anyway. And these are never in alphabetical order either. So there it is, T power plus, that's max. So we'll set that up. Now, there we go. Now I got T power plus. So when I get dynamic movement, I'll have an idea of when the Crossfire increases the transmit power to the radio, the receiver. All right, let's oh, I also need to put a switch. I need to put a switch on that audio because sometimes I just do not want to hear that. Let's see, logical switch 5. There we go. Do that, and we'll do an AND switch, and we'll say AND SA up. So that way, SA has to be up. If it's not down, then it won't play out. And I think I'm also going to increase that value a little bit. We'll go up to say 35 miles an hour. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I've got the switch set up so it has to be above 35 miles an hour in order to play. And the SA switch has to be up, and if SA is not up, it won't play. So let's take off again and go see. I should probably reset the radio. I wonder if I'm just going to do reset telemetry. Okay, by hitting reset flight, I reset all my variables, all my ground speed and altitude and all that. I don't expect I'll hit the same speed as I did before, but I reset the flight, and that way I can re-evaluate the numbers. So we'll see. Here we go. Good old Millennium Master, man.
35.8 miles per hour. 35.7 miles per hour.
And we'll do an
30.5 miles per hour.
I'll do altitude again, and now I'm going to shut off the voice because I don't want to hear it anymore. So now it's off. That is way up there. And there's a dive bomb to the ground, so hopefully that's probably going to be the fastest speed. All right. I've been hard on this battery for this flight, so I'm going to land it and we'll get it on the ground and check the new numbers and see what we got. I love the Millennium Master, man. That's such a wicked little plane. All right, cool. That was fun. Okay, I got 40.5 miles an hour, and it says an altitude of 584 feet. I think that needs to be calibrated. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to test that. I might have to do, I don't know how I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna think about it. I might be able to put it on a quad that's got another GPS in there and verify it against that. So that might be the way I have to test it. And also check out the max transmission power jumped up to 500 milliwatts. So that's why you put the plus in there. That shows you the max level that it reached. So it was kind of cool, man. Transmit power up to 500 probably when I went way high. My max speed on that flight was 40.5, and my max altitude says 584, but there's no way that was not 584 feet. So cool, yeah, Crossfire to PWM converter on the Millennium Master. It makes a cool little backpack. Put the satellite in there and you get all kinds of cool data off of it, including your battery voltage, and I'm at 11.7 right now. Still got a little more in there, but that's good enough for this video. All right, guys, it's time to take the new Chimera 6 out. I haven't flown it to the field yet. Everything I've done has been kind of testing. So just testing camera work and working on my ND filter scheme and my mounting for the GoPro. So I'm just going to take this guy out for a little flight and see how it does with the new cinematic settings. I'm going to do some low and fast and maybe do surf some of those pipes out there and maybe take a look at the tree line out there. We'll see. All right, just going to take the Chimera 6 out for a little joyride around the field. It's windy today, so if you do see a little blustery action on the camera, it is wind. I'm definitely getting blown pretty hard from the right, which explains the crab angle that you're seeing. I'm crabbing to the right and the wind's coming from the right, so yeah, a little bit of an angle, but that's okay. One thing I really like about flying these quads is they do not really care much about wind. It just doesn't seem to impact them very much. Here's a look at the flag. You can see that fluttering a little bit. Whoa. Yeah, that wind is trying to push me into those trees. Almost got me.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered. Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered. Descend.
All right, off we go with the Millennium Master. Yeah, when I first got into RC again, the second time, I got into it in the mid to late 90s for the first time and did some flying. And then I took a break from the aerial stuff and did some off-road electric buggies and trucks, mostly buggies. But anyway, when I got back into flying airplanes, my first plane was a slow stick.
40.1 miles per hour.
I just took that to the field and learned how to fly that on my own. I didn't have anyone there to teach me. So I learned to fly the slow stick. And then after I kind of got the hang of that, I was watching these flight test videos and I thought that'd be a really good, I thought the flight test...
40.5 miles per hour.
I thought...
6 minutes.
I gotta...
40.1 miles per hour.
All right, I'm going to turn all that prompting off. So I took the flight test planes and built a couple of Mustangs and started flying those. And that's really how I transitioned from what I would call like a beginner, you know, slow stick obviously, to a more of a sport plane. And so I flew those, and I flew the devil out of those Mustangs. Boy, I'll tell you what, I just flew those things to pieces, literally to pieces. And after I kind of felt like I had a real good handle on those, this Millennium Master was my first real, you know, airplane that wasn't a slow stick. You know, the slow stick was 30 bucks. This was the first plane that I bought, and you know, I kind of flew it a lot. And I really initially thought I liked it so much, I thought it was like a placebo effect, because, you know, I had flown, this was my first plane and I flew it and got used to it.
5 minutes.
But over the years, I still have a lot of respect for this little plane. This, I believe this one that I'm flying right now is my 4th copy of this plane. The others I've either crashed or wore them out, literally wore them out flying them. It gets knocked around, I won't lie, and there's no stabilizer. You know, I'm just doing the Crossfire PWM converter with that Matek board on this one, no stabilization, so I am on my own to get this on the ground. So all that perturbance you see, that's all wind. That's not, and that's one of the reasons I like stabilizers, is for days like today, where if I don't really kind of feel like messing and accommodating the wind or dealing with the wind, it's not that big of a deal. But it's okay. I don't mind flying with a little bit of wind.
4 minutes.
I'll tell you one thing about flying with wind like this is that if you can manage it, you know, if you can fly a plane in these conditions and keep your, see, that was bad. That was a Cuban 8 that I had bailed out of. But if you can keep your maneuvers in line, you know, the way you want them and perform them the way you want them, dealing with these kinds of winds, it will definitely make you a better pilot on a calm day. Because when you fly in a calm day, you'll realize just how much absolute control you have over the plane, which is kind of nice. So just keep that in mind. You know, don't be too afraid to fly in the wind. I mean, always respect your skill level, because you don't want to lose your plane either. You know, so that's important, to respect your skill level and not get yourself into trouble. But moral of the story is wind can teach you, right? It can teach you control, because when you're flying, it's 3D up there, right? The wind can have very adverse impacts on the plane. Just like that. You see how it floated coming around? And that's on high rates too. Yeah, that's high rates. Oof. It did not want to come around. You know, in those situations, if the plane's not reacting the way you want it to, one of your options is to punch it. And by punching it, you get more control over your surfaces because you're forcing more wind over it. So obviously, you know, you have to use that with discretion. You don't want to punch it while you're aiming at the ground and lacking control. That could be devastating. But point is that, you know, if your controls are getting mushy on you, one way you can gain some control is by
2 minutes.
Adding a little bit of speed. I love doing a loop into the wind because it just kind of launches the plane, and it's very graceful looking. It's kind of cool looking to do that. I'll do it a little closer, give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about. So get into the wind and then just kind of loft it up in the air, and look at that. Look at it, launched it. I love that. That's cool. The wind helped on that one. It kicked in right when I needed it. You know, and that's the thing about the wind. The planes don't mind the wind. It's the pilots that mind the wind. We're the ones that struggle with it. Planes love it. Oh, look at that launch. Look at that. That's not me. That's the wind. Isn't that cool? All right, my timer says 1 minute left. I'm going to practice an approach, see if I can get it close to lined up so I can get on the ground with some battery still, in case I have to go around a couple times. Definitely a little blustery today. There it goes. Millennium Master, man. That's my buddy. Great little plane. All right, I think it's time for an M2.
Descend.
All right, M2 time. There's the wind. Still coming in a little blustery. It's getting a little more blustery as the day goes on, which is unusual. Normally it calms down a little bit. So we'll see. I don't mind. The helicopter doesn't mind. Good practice. All right. Idle up 1. M2 is in the air. You know, you switch from fixed wing to helicopter or fixed wing to quad, and you kind of got to get the mind, you know, doing its transition right. I'm just going to do a little bit of tooling around just to kind of get the brain wired to the thumbs correctly, and after that I need to practice on inverted hovering. That's a thing I need to start working on, is the inverted hovering. And the directional hovering too. I mean, I can hover tail in, that's not really a problem. And I can do nose in pretty well at this point. You know, I'm reasonably competent at nose in. So there's nose in. And I'm not too bad with that. Like, I can kind of hold it close to where I want it. Then the other thing I need to practice is this. It's the sideways hover. You really got to get your brain wrapped around these things with the helicopters. I know a lot of the experienced guys will tell you you really don't have any business trying any 3D maneuvers until you have all the what they call attitudes worked out in terms of hovering, both in upright and inverted. Just one of those things you need to practice. Not bad, not bad. All right, let's try and, I want to get it inverted and just do a little nose in inverted. Yeah, I got to work on that. That needs work. I got it, because what I want to be able to do is pop it into an inverted hover and just hold it, you know, lock it in and hold it in place. I mean, I know what to do, but you know, it's kind of like live flying. The thumbs just want to, they're not reacting. Practice, practice, practice. All right. Brain freeze, man. It's kind of weird how that works, because in the simulator I can do that all day, but in the real world, you know, I got things at play here that aren't obvious in the simulator. There we go. Neat. Yep, that's practice. I'm telling you guys, if you want to get into helicopters, all these guys that you watch doing all that fancy stuff on YouTube, they all had to go through this. You know, some go at a different pace than others, but these are the things you need to do. I love it, man. This M2, great trainer. I'm telling you guys, I know I embellish on this one a lot, but I'm just telling you, man, this is a good one because you just don't have the same, exposure, the financial exposure. You know, all the guys that I listen to, they'll say, fly the biggest helicopter you can afford to crash. Well, I can afford to crash something a little bigger, but why? No, why should I? And then, you know, I've been talking to Fred, and Fred says, hey, if you fly, if you can get this under control, then the big ones get a lot easier. And I have to agree with that. So if you can fly this in the wind the way I'm doing it right now and handle it, then the bigger ones get a lot easier. Anyway, that's the end of the battery. I'm very close to the end of the battery anyway. Staring it down. I haven't landed nose in. I'm going to try that. Hey, about that. Woohoo! Nose in landing. Good stuff. All right, guys, the sun's getting a little low, so I'm getting toward the end of the day here, and it's going to be a Kraken again. Notice I kind of wait until the end of the day to fly the Kraken. So anyway, yeah.
Normal mode.
End of day, let's get the Kraken up and see how it goes. You know, one of the things that I know I want to do with the Kraken that I kind of need to work on is I need to do some just pattern flying. And I don't mean like F3A pattern, I mean just, you know, flying back and forth and managing my turns and that kind of thing. So I'm probably going to spend some time on that today because I need the work. What a beautiful helicopter. It really is beautiful. And that's what I mean by pattern flying. I need to work on that. I definitely need work on that. The bailout maneuver is to bring the tail in, and then bring it back. Boy, does it go fast, making that, what Freddie calls a momentum turn. That moves quick, man. Oof. When you make those turns, it comes out of it real hard. At least for me. There we go. That's better. That's the practice I needed right there, is to start working on developing some sanity around that momentum turn and keeping it moving instead of just doing the tail swing. Here's what I mean by the tail swing. You get to the end of where you want to go and you just kind of whip the tail around like that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not doing that and actually making like a forward moving turn. That's the objective. I need to give the thumbs a break. A lot of adrenaline when you do this. It really is. Boy, it comes out of there fast. All right, that's it. The wind is getting a little blustery right now, and I've kind of hit my limit on the adrenaline because it's definitely going. So I'm going to bring her back and set it down. That's enough. Recognize your limits, you know. Beautiful helicopter. I really do like this one. It's very attractive. All right. On the ground. Yeah, if you heard that loud flapping at the end, that's another lesson Fred gave me. He said, you know, especially when you're dealing with wind, I did not turn into the wind, but you know, it's a disc, so I don't know that it's that important. But anyway, the idea is you kill the throttle and let it set down on the ground, and then once you've done that, I go to full negative pitch. So that's why you hear that flapping sound, because that pushes the helicopter down on the gear and holds it there and keeps it steady. Well, hey guys, that's the end of the material for today. Last flight of the day. That's going to be on film anyway. I'm probably going to fly the Millennium Master one more time, but hope you enjoyed the content today. And if you did, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos hit the channel. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy. Hey, if you like the work I do here on RC Video Reviews, please consider joining me on Patreon. For about the price of a cup of coffee, you can help me keep making videos just like this one. If you'd like to help out, there's a link in the description and on your screen.
Very impressive.
Yeah, the adrenaline is definitely a lot higher on these big ones than
Especially when you got the money you got.
yeah. Yeah.